Around 2,700 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer in England every year, and approximately 690 of them will die from the disease. However, in a survey of 3,000 women, 42% revealed that they were too embarrassed to attend a screening. This is just one example that illustrates how big an impact this stigma is having on women all across the country. Dr. Tosin is a medical doctor and a TV presenter on Embarrassing Bodies, a TV show that aims to promote open discussions about health issues. I wanted to speak to Dr. Tosin to discuss both the root cause of this stigma and what we can do to change it. Tosin, thank you very much for talking to me. Why do you think the taboos are, I think this is right, the taboos are largely pointed at women's health rather than men's health?
I think women go through a lot of changes during their lifetime. I like to call it the 3 M's, so menstruation, maternity and menopause. And often each of those stages come with their own changes that people just don't fully understand, and we don't talk about it. And men have life changes as well, but I think with women, there's just a lot more that our bodies have to go through.
Why do you think young women and girls find it difficult to talk about this, to talk about some of the taboo health issues?
I think because we are implicitly saying to them that they shouldn't talk about it, even though we're not actually telling our young girls that we shouldn't be having these conversations. By not talking about it, we're implying that, there's a big taboo and shame around those conversations.
Just to try and give me an idea of how difficult this is for some people.
So, I've had stories with girls that since puberty, so since they started their periods, have an extremely painful periods where it stops them engaging in their day-to-day activities, stops them from going to school, going to work, stops them from socialising. So it's having a real impact in their lives. And if you think about it, that's about a week every month for year on year on year that you're missing out on a big part of your life.
When you were a young girl and you're growing up, where did that information, did it come from friends, did it come from family?
I have an older sister, so I had an idea of what was coming. But beyond that, very, very little. I remember being in class when I was in secondary school and having to go to the toilet to change a pad or tampon, but having to hide it, and all the girls did that. So, there is that implicit shame or fear attached to it because we weren't having those conversations.
So when you think back to your time as a girl, a teenage girl, and dealing with this, and largely it sounds like dealing with it on your own, as I'm sure lots of other people are, how does that flow through into kind of mental health?
You can't talk about one without talking about the other. And, this idea of fear or shame or that something is wrong with you. You may think that the painful periods that you're having are normal and you just have to put up with it. Yeah. You might think the heavy bleeding that you're having that sometimes seeps through your pads is normal and you just have to put up with it. Because you're thinking that this is abnormal, I just have to keep it to myself, that builds up. And I think that affects, a young girl's mental health, how they feel about themselves, especially in a world where you have so many other things to worry about these days.
And is that at the heart of much of this problem, which is a concept of judgment, that young people feel judged in even starting these conversations? They're fearful that they will be judged.
I think so. I definitely think so. You don't want to feel shame. So taking that away so people understand that they shouldn't feel that they are going to be judged, because like I said, we all have health. Health affects us all. So it should be a normal conversation to have.
So I have 2 daughters, 3 children but 2 daughters, and some of the stories they've been telling me are quite frightening, that young women and girls are turning to Instagram or TikTok to get their health advice about some of these issues.
Social media is great, I think, in some respects, because it's giving young girls a voice, it's making them more aware of certain topics that they possibly wouldn't have been aware of. But also there's no barrier to social media. And when it comes to health, that can be really, really dangerous.
What advice should we be giving to parents who've got children in those situations?
It's difficult because I think, it gets to a certain age where you can't stop your children from going onto social media and you can't really, you're not with them 24/7. But I think talking to them and helping them understand that actually what they see online, they can't trust. And knowing the difference between opinion and facts.
Who's the catalyst for change here? People like you and the platform you have? Is it the role of schools? Is it the role of some of the social media platforms out there? Is it the role of families? What do you think the most important influences are on that?
I think you touched on something there. I think each and every person in society has a role to play. Now, girls are taught about their periods in school. And that was only as of 2020 that became mandatory. Before then, that didn't exist.
If there's a place for education, do you think it's as important that we educate the boys as we do the girls?
Definitely, 100%. So if everyone can feel like they're normal conversations, both girls and boys, that will help in taking the stigma away.
What do you think that means for young women?
I think it could be life-changing for most women, because women will be able to seek help earlier and it will have less effects on their social well-being and their mental health. So I think actually it will make a big difference and it could be life-changing to a lot of women.
As Dr. Tosin mentioned, the education system is addressing the most prevalent issues affecting female teenagers, but the facts remain that nearly 3 in 5 women in the UK use social media and influencers as their go-to source for health advice. This is a worrying trend that is being directly addressed by Luna, a UK-based startup focused on teen health and well-being that we helped launch just last year. I caught up with Jo, one of the founders, at her home in North London to learn more about the scale of the problem and how Luna is tackling it. So Jo, thank you very much for having me. I'd love if you don't mind just give me some of the backstory to Luna and why you set the business up.
Absolutely. So Jazz and I met when we went back to Oxford University to do our MBA, and we realised there's no resources out there which are safe and reliable for, young girls and women who are going through puberty, and actually they should be learning about these things. So what ends up happening now is that these girls are going online, they're going to TikTok about their health, their bodies, their well-being generally, whether that's mental health but also physical health.
What are some of the problems that come out of that?
TikTok is a great place for many things, watching fun videos and stuff, but I think we fundamentally believe it's probably not the right place to learn about your body or your health, your mental health, your well-being. So there's one video that we always talk about, a young girl who she says, guys, I've got this great way of stopping your period in an emergency. All you need to do is take a shot of lime juice, salt and tagine powder.
Guys, I had to come back to give you an update because holy guacamole, it works.
That video alone has over 20 million views.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't work. If you're 13 years old, you're quite likely going to believe it, because why would you not? In their eyes, their parents have never lied to them, their teachers have never lied to them, so why would these adults on the internet be lying to me?
So if you look at maybe the natural solutions you might think of, whether it's parents, whether it's schools, whether it's social media, whether it's doctors, none of those are really working particularly effectively, which I guess is cue Luna.
Yeah, so Luna is an app, and we're a digital health companion for 11 to 17-year-old girls, non-binary people. We provide factually accurate content created in-house by Luna. So there's no random people on the platform doing user-generated content. It is all verified, created by medics, checked by 2 doctors, and it's a safe space for them to learn about these topics, knowing that they can trust the content. That's one part of Luna. We have a second part called Ask Luna, which is probably our most popular feature, which is where the user can submit anonymous questions. And we now have, I think, maybe like 4,500 questions on there.
What are the most common questions you're asked?
We get a lot of skincare questions, like how do I look after my skin? What should I be using on my skin? Obviously lots to do with spots and acne and breakouts. But then I'd say in the sort of periods and hormone space, the most common one is, I'm 13 years old and I haven't got my period yet and all my friends have. Is this normal? Am I weird? And then mental health is kind of the next big topic, really.
And impressive when you're answering those questions, it's always signed off by doctors before it goes out.
So we have, I think, about over 25 medics now on the team, and they are all the ones that answer the questions. Okay. So we have GPs, we have gynecologists, we have junior doctors. But also, we're not a diagnostic tool. We definitely deal with the more situational type questions, so we said. But we would love that, Luna to be the kind of go-to source for your sort of health, well-being, mental health, all of that.
What are the big plans for Luna over the next few months?
Next few months are super busy. One of the big things that we've got coming up is an Insights Day that we're holding with 15 of our super users and brand ambassadors, because Jazz and I are clearly not teenagers anymore, and what we think is good and what would appeal to a teenager is very different to actually what does. So they are our eyes and ears. They are real advocates of the brand, and they're so helpful in so many ways. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, we can host them in person and do a full day of activities and events, get them to help us redesign some parts of the app, get them filming some content, and just sort of rewarding them for their loyalty over the past year as well, with helping us build out the first
Well,
version.
we can probably help, no problem. If you want to host today Insights Day at Octopus, you are more than welcome to. We've got the space to be able to do it. The only condition I put on it is if you bring them in, I'd love to be there and love to be able to talk to them.
Absolutely, that would be so amazing. Thank you so much. We would love that. That would be, and I'm sure they will as well, especially coming to a big swanky London office.
We wanted to walk you through like what we're doing at Luna, where we've got to with all your help, and then the plans for like the future.
Good to see you again.
Hi Simon, nice to see you.
Oh, how are you?
Good, thanks, how are you?
Oh, I'm very good, very good. Good day so far?
Very good day, yeah. Busy.
What have you had them doing?
At the moment, as you can see, they are redesigning the homepage for us.
Okay.
So, and they're going to present it back to us in about 20 minutes.
Very good, got them doing the work.
Yeah,
And these are all Luna users that you got to do? Yeah, you did, okay, really good.
So a mix from users from across the country, different schools we visited, and then also some have found us via TikTok as well and just said that they want to get involved. So yeah, they're our brand ambassadors, they're the face of our brand, they're filming TikToks now.
What you looking for? We got what you looking for.
I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew.
I tell you what I would like to do, if it's all right. Is it all right if I talk to some of them? Yeah? All right, okay, perfect. All right, very good. What have they had you doing this morning?
We're redesigning some of the pages for the app, so we get to have our own little insight of what we think should be there instead of like just the designers, which is really cool. We as teenagers are part of it, we're the users, so we should like get to see how it looks.
What's the biggest change you've made to Luna, if you were running it?
When I show the app to my friends, obviously they want to see the app, but I'm like, don't look at my personal questions I've asked. So having a passcode I think is the biggest thing, because it brings the anonymity more.
The community, first of all, is just like amazing. The app itself is just like helped me so much, and my favourite part is probably the anonymous questions. It makes it less awkward to talk to like actual people about it.
Some of the questions that I wanted to know, I don't want to go up to my parents. Sometimes it's
a bit weird. Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to talk to teachers.
Yeah.
And if it gets out of hand, you don't really want to go up to school. You don't want them to look at you differently. It's just you and an app. Like you don't have to think about talking to anyone in real life. It gives you great advice. You can track your periods, you can track anything. Ask questions anonymously. I think it's a great app.
It's been so good. We've got so many great insights which we can now take away and take back to the team to build the product even better for everyone.
What was the biggest insight?
We think schools should play a massive part because that's where teenagers are for the majority of their teen years. Yeah, definitely the schools are on our list to crack, and that will help us just spread throughout the UK then, definitely.
Where are you going to be in 18 months' time, do you think?
The big ambition is to take Luna worldwide. There is no reason why Luna cannot be a global product, because there are teens all across the world who are experiencing puberty, adolescence. They will all go through it. They will all have questions. You know, our aim eventually is to have a generation of women and more, but to look back on their teen years and go, Luna was the app that helped me through.
Luna is not just taking the anxiety out of teenage health concerns. Their platform is fun. It's a community and safe place for teenagers to manage the next stage of their development without any sense of shame or embarrassment. Dr. Tosin is doing her best to encourage young girls to speak openly about their concerns. But while the stigma exists, this will take some time. But when I look at Luna, I think they will change, and they are changing, the relationship that an entire generation of young girls has with their health. And it won't stop there. As they grow older, maybe want to become a mother, or when they go through the menopause, for them, the stigma may have been removed entirely. Women's health has historically been a taboo subject. But because of the likes of Joe and Jazz and their Luna platform, I truly believe this is coming to an end. Not just in the UK, but all over the world.